Understanding the movement and postural functions of the body's myofascial lines is essential to proper training of our clients and athletes. Today I'm going to be demonstrating the different myofascial lines of the body, including the superficial back line, superficial front line, lateral line, and spiral line, as well as the unique front functional line and back functional lines through how they can be demonstrated in yoga poses. The function of the superficial back line is to ensure that the entire posterior surface of the body is protected. It ensures extension and hyperextension of the neck, back, and pelvis, and also provides flexion at the knees. However, if the knees are extended, all of the myofascia on the posterior surface can function as one solid line. The large amount of endurance, type 1 slow twitch muscles on the superficial back line ensure proper posture throughout the day. The superficial back line shows hyperextension and extension of the spine and pelvis and extension at the knees. Level 1 is a standing back bend pose. And level 2 is a standing ballerina pose. The function of the superficial front line is to protect the viscera of the anterior portion of the body. This line balances the superficial back line and runs from the shoulders to the pelvis and the pelvis to the feet. If bent from the hips, this line will be broken into two pieces. This line ensures quick flexion of the torso and the hips, and thus provides flexion of the torso and the hips, extension at the knee, and dorsiflexion of the foot. The superficial front line performs flexion at the hips and spine and extension at the knees. Level 1 is a seated forward fold. And level 2 is a standing forward fold. The lateral line supports the superficial back line and the superficial front line bilaterally on the left and the right sides. It functions to balance the forces from the spiral lines and the arm lines and works to prevent trunk and knee buckling from the forces coming from the superficial front line and the superficial back line. The lateral line functions to produce lateral flexion of the head and trunk, abduction of the hips, and eversion of the feet. The lateral line produces lateral flexion of the torso and hip abduction. This is demonstrated through the extended side angle pose and can be modified to a level 1 by bringing the arm to the knee and keeping the other arm on the side of the body. The spiral line is unique in that all of its aspects are found in other myofascial lines on the body. It thus balances all of the forces and muscle actions across all planes found in the body. The spiral line connects the arches of the feet with the angle of the pelvis and transfers forces up from the feet to the ipsilateral and contralateral sides of the body to provide balance, such as in movements like walking or running. The spiral line produces oblique twists and rotational movements and stabilizes the trunk to prevent collapse during these rotational movements. The spiral line produces twisting and rotational movements of the body. This is demonstrated by triangle pose and can be modified by a seated twist pose. The front and back functional lines are unique in the fact that they are not used in everyday postural movements. Instead, in movements such as athletics, where power and force are required, the back and front functional lines are used. These lines cross from the arms or their legs to their contralateral counterpart. They are used when force is required to be produced, such as in a baseball throw or a javelin throw. Although not used for postural movements on an everyday basis, when the body requires extra stability, such as through yoga poses, when the limbs are extended above the head, the front and back functional lines are used to support the body and stabilize the myofascial lines. Functional line brings the contralateral shoulder and hip closer together. This can be demonstrated symmetrically through boat pose and emphasized with a twist, or brought back to a level 1 by bringing the knees into the chest. The back functional line functions to bring the contralateral arm and leg closer together through the posterior side of the body. This is demonstrated through Warrior 1, our level 1 pose, and a 3-legged down dog, level 2.